Welcome to another episode of Meal Prep Monday. I'm your host, Allison Schaaf, and today we are talking about an idea that may not be new to a lot of you, but here at my house, it's something I just introduced, and I was going to call it like a snack dinner, but I think it's more a party dinner. So maybe by the time this airs, I'll have like a more eloquent, like fun, catchy name for it. But I'm going to talk about it today. So before I dive into that, though, a quick reminder that if you have not tried out our time-saving meal prep meal plans, you can head to prepdish.com/MPM, that's short for Meal Prep Monday, and give us a try for 2 weeks free. That really allows you, by doing that trial, it allows you 2 weeks to try out all of the different meal plans, everything from gluten-free, paleo. We also have super fast plans that require only 1 hour of prep time, and you have dinners for the week. There's also a low carb keto meal plan as well. So depending on what you're looking for, you have options. If you do that 2-week free trial, it gives you kind of some time to play around and look at all of the different menus we have to see if there's something that might be a fit for you. Okay, so let's jump into this idea of looking at dinner a little differently. Let me backtrack and say the thought for this, I was listening to a podcast, and I don't even remember which one. And the lady was talking about how growing up, sometimes her mom would do these dinners and she would call them, I think, like bits and pieces dinners. And basically it was like they would get to the end of the week, they would be out of groceries. So she would just kind of throw together everything that they had left in the fridge, like, maybe some apple slices or this and that, kind of whatever the bits and pieces she could find at the end of the week. And that's what they would have for dinner. And the lady was like, these were my favorite dinners. It's one of my most fond memories of growing up. And I mentioned this to my mom recently, and my mom was horrified. She said, oh my gosh, those dinners were the dinners where I felt like I was such a failure as a mom. I was so embarrassed, and I felt like I could barely, like I was trying to do everything just to get by. And like I did it because I had to, but I was like, I had like shame around these dinners of just like throwing these random bits and pieces on the table. And here, 20 years later, this was the lady's one of her most favorite memories from growing up and her favorite dinners that she had. So that kind of got me to think how could I recreate this to where, what is a fun idea that I could do in my family that would be like that? And also hey, this might be a way to get an easy meal on the table. So I think sometimes it's like I'm always bending over backwards to get these nice, hot, home-cooked meals on the table. And maybe, you can have a break, but still get a dinner on the table that everyone enjoys. So one Sunday night, I decided to do something similar. And we had, a few things like some fresh fruit that was chopped that we didn't finish for a snack, and maybe some vegetables. And I don't remember what all was in there, but I threw it all on the table, in the middle of the table. And we just kind of all filled our plate with everything that was there. And I hadn't even mentioned it. I hadn't used the word snack or anything like that. It's like, okay, this will kind of be, in my mind, I was thinking this will be like the bits and pieces dinner. And my toddler looked at me when he sat down at the dinner table and he said, we're having snacks for dinner? And his eyes were really big. So I said, yeah. He was so excited to be having snacks for dinner, and he talked about it. And I said, well, maybe we can make this into, a regular thing. Maybe every Sunday night we can have snacks for dinner. And he got really excited. And that was kind of a month or two ago. And I hadn't gotten around to doing that again. And then last night for dinner, I was like, okay, we need to do the snacks for dinner again. It'd been a long week, and we'd also kind of same thing. There were the makings of a snack for dinner kind of thing. But I was like, this time I'm going to put it on. I have this Lazy Susan type cheese board that spins. And it's really, I use it at all of our parties because I'll put it on the table and you can spin it around and you can get all the charcuterie or whatever. And they work really, really well. And I pulled that out and started to put some items on it. And Ivan comes up to me and he looks at me and says, Mom, are we having a party? And kind of the same thing. And I was like, yeah, we are. So I filled the tray up and I said, but who's going to be here? And so I kind of named off everyone in the family. And I said, Mima and your brother and your dad, it's the family, but it's a party with the family. And so I had him go around and ask everyone, ask Daddy and bro if they want to have a party. So I went around and he asked everyone if they wanted to have a party. And Oh my goodness, he was so excited about it. And he sat down at dinner and we were having a party and all night. And even this morning, that's what he wanted to talk about, the party that we had. And I guess just pulling out that cheese board in his mind turned it into a party. And I'll talk through too what I actually put on there. And again, I mean, I think sometimes I think these things seem obvious, but I know also for me, like if I hear what other people are doing, or sometimes I'll see a picture, I'm like, oh, I hadn't thought to like use that item, or I totally like have that on hand and one thing to put that on there. So what did I put on there? So the one that I would say is probably something you would think about is the night before we had hamburgers and we had a few left over. So I just sliced those up because I was going to do like some charcuterie, like we had some salami or something like that. But then I was like, well, we have these hamburgers. And I also try not to use processed meat too much, right? Like sausages or salami or all of that, because you don't want to do too much of the processed meats. But like a hamburger, in terms of a regular basis, is going to be, less risk and everything. So I sliced up the hamburger and put that on the tray. And then what else? The vegetables, I had some celery and broccoli, both of which like I know my kids like and everyone kind of likes. So I put the celery, the broccoli. The broccoli was just raw. We had some cherry tomatoes, so I didn't have to chop those, which was nice. And then I did some cashews, some cheese. We had like half a bag of gluten-free pretzels. Oh, and then I know we'd received as a gift like a Harry and David gift basket with, fruit, and it had also included like some sauces and stuff. So there was like a honey mustard sauce. So I set that out. So that kind of pulled it all together because we had the honey mustard sauce. So the pretzels and the vegetables you could dip in the honey mustard sauce. So I think having some sort of sauce like that, like I think even like a ranch or a hummus, anything like that can kind of as I'm thinking of like doing this in future weeks, I'm like, okay, I think having that sauce there can kind of pull it together and then it gives you something to dip in. I actually, personally, I like that. I like having something to dip the vegetables and everything else in. And the hamburger, like I actually did my hamburger in that as well. And then I had the crackers. We had some crackers that were open that were, I think they were Simple Mills. I never tried these before, but they have like some sort of cinnamon cracker, like kind of like a graham cracker, but like cracker size. And we like half a bag of those. And so then we had a thing of goat cheese, like soft goat cheese. So the goat cheese with those cinnamon crackers worked out really well. So I had those crackers and then some grapes. That was the fruit that was on there. And I think that might have been about it. And everyone seemed to really, enjoy the meal, especially Ivan. He loved the party. He thought it was great. He was having a ball. And I think he likes the, having it in the center of the table, being able to kind of pick and choose your own thing and continue to, if you run out of something, you can just continue to serve yourself and not have to ask for more or anything like that. So it was a fun little night. And my mind has already started to the wheels are turning on like, okay, maybe this is like a weekly tradition where we kind of do this bits and pieces dinner and, throw together. It's a good way to kind of clear out the fridge, but then also have fun. And then, at the end of the day, it actually was, a fairly decent, healthy meal. I don't think anyone went hungry. Everyone enjoyed the food. So, and the cleanup was pretty easy. There wasn't a lot of prep or a lot of cleanup. Because again, a lot of the items were things that were already there. Like I think the celery was already chopped. So, I did not have to do much prep work. I just kind of throwing together and digging through the cabinets and finding things that needed to be used up. So, again, like I'm still trying to think like what I'll call it, like I think to my toddler, I'll just say, hey, we're having a party. So maybe this is like our new way of like throwing parties without throwing parties. But anyway, if you're listening to this episode and you do something similar, I know I mentioned it to my sister on the phone and she's like, oh yeah, we totally do that all the time. Like, I know I'm not the first person to do this. I'm sure most of you have like some version of this that you're already doing. But if there's something I didn't think about or an item that you're like, yeah, we do this, but we always include, this, let me know. And this is kind of similar. So, we've never done this at the dinner table. I will say, In the past, we've done similar things where we, go on a picnic and kind of have that be dinner and we'll like eat outside. It's been really cold here in Texas, so we haven't done that since like last fall or summer. So this would be kind of similar to when we do that, I guess. But this is a party versus a picnic. I don't know. I think sometimes it's all in what you call it. But again, yeah, if you have experiences to share, like food items that you do, I'd love to hear from you. Kind of, is this a tradition in your house? What do you call it? What kind of food items do you throw on your cheese board? I'm at Prep Dish on Instagram, or if you're in our Facebook group, feel free to share in there. If you're in our Facebook group, I'm a fan of sharing pictures. So if you do a meal that's similar to this and want to share a picture of what you're doing, I would love to see that. And that's everything for this episode. If you have been listening to this podcast for a while, have not left a rating or review, a reminder that those are very helpful to the podcast. Just other people can find us better when there are more ratings and reviews. So I would appreciate it if you could take the time to do that. And if you are not a Prep Dish subscriber and you want to learn how to get healthy meals on the table in a quick and easy way each night, you can head to prepdish.com/MPM. That's short for Meal Prep Monday. I will link it in the show notes. You can try us out for 2 weeks for free and, give us a try. Okay, that's all I have for this week. I will be back again next Monday.